Good afternoon all. I was going to share a little bit of what I've been doing in the air gun world. And explain just a couple things. So this is a traditional 177 caliber pellet. It's medium weight for its size, 8.4 grain. This is a 22 caliber pellet, 18 grain, heavy for its size. And you can see that the skirt is mostly full, so that's where it's getting its mass from. FX pellets are actually made by the company JSB. What they do is once a year they make a brand new die, and then they run all of FX pellets through one die, one run. That way they get better consistency. It's not several machines, several dies making the run, so they get some more consistency out of it. But it's a JSB product. So this is a 25 caliber pellet. This is a medium weight for its size. You can see the skirt's still full, but when we compare it to a heavy pellet, you can see it's substantially smaller, shorter, and the skirt is more pronounced here than here. And this is a JSB heavy Diablo pellet, and you can see this thing is really full. The skirt is very full, and the skirt is not as pronounced as most pellets. So it has a little bit better ballistic coefficient, meaning it holds its velocity going down range a little bit better than some other pellets. One of my goals is to move into the slug world and shooting slugs, and I've got 3 examples of slugs here. H&N is a company that's been around for a very, very long time, since the 1800s, making pellets and slugs and air gun projectiles. They're a German company. I don't recall the name that the initials stand for. And this is a 25 caliber, 24.9 caliber, 28 grain slug. And you can see that this guy's kind of short, comparing it to a heavy pellet. It's kind of a small projectile. I don't know if you can see well here. It's a shallow hollow point. So it's kind of a stout, short, and this is medium weight as far as most slugs go, because in 25 caliber they're going all the way up to 44 and I believe even 52 grain slugs, which are substantially longer. But that's on the kind of extreme end. Then a company in the last few years that's made a lot of progress and is very popular right now is the Nielsen specialty ammo slugs. And you can see that this is a little bit taller, and the good thing about that is you get a little more profile for the rifling to have something to grip onto, and the longer the projectile, the better the ballistic coefficient, the better it slips through the air, the more stable it's going to be. And you can also see here, I think, that this is a little bit of a deeper, let's see, I can't see what the hell I'm doing. It's a little bit deeper hollow point. So for hunting purposes, it's a more effective projectile. And believe it or not, these hollow points don't affect their ballistic coefficient very much. They've done some testing with very pointy, longer, spear-shaped projectiles, and they really don't improve their BC. So if you can get a good ballistic coefficient and a good expansion for hunting or whatever, it's a win-win. Now FX, they're really leading the market right now in innovation. They're almost a little too innovative, where that they're changing things really rapidly. You won't be able to see, with this camera anyways, inside of this hollow point, but you can see in this picture here they're an extreme hollow point. Once again, now, and if you compare the 3 of these, as you can tell, that this one's even longer which should help stability and trajectory. And then if we look at the weights, as the H&N is 28 grain, the Nielsen is 29 grain, but the FX is only 26 grain, so it's a relatively lightweight slug with an extreme hollow point. So it's really pushing the boundaries of ballistic coefficient, hunting ability. And so now I want to explain something else with slugs versus pellets. And so ballistic coefficient, again, it means how well a projectile slips through the air. That's important when it comes to long range shooting. Now, when it comes to shooting pellets, their shape are conducive to self-righting in flight. They work like a shuttlecock, where that if you throw them and they're slightly wobbly in flight, is they will self-right, which makes them very easy to be accurate. But that's due to a drag coefficient. The head of the pellet and the skirt of the pellet produces drag as it's moving through the air, which makes it self-right. It makes it fly true. They're not as dependent upon gyro stability, which means, with rifling and spin, like a football spins. Where that a slug, because it has no skirt or no shape that helps it fly straight, there's no drag. We want a better BC, a better ballistic coefficient, means less drag. So slugs are very dependent upon gyro stability, which means they have to spin, and they have to spin at a little bit higher rate than a pellet to become stable. So it makes them finicky. They won't shoot well out of any gun. The barrel and the twist rate have to be appropriate, and they have to shoot fast enough through a barrel to spin fast enough to become stable. And that's historically that's been problematic. Now the funny thing is, people in the Philippines and in Germany and here in America, going back to the late 1700s, 1800s, we've been shooting slugs out of air guns for a long time, but it's been kind of a niche specialty thing. And they're talking more about hunting level of accuracy. So if I can hit something the size of a softball at 100 yards with enough energy, that makes a pretty good hunting round. You're looking at headshot or kill zone shots on things, like up to rabbit or even up to coyote, which makes it very efficient for that job for hunting. But we're talking more about, laser level accuracy, where we're talking sub MOA, which MOA is at 100 yards is 1-inch groups. So the goal here is a little bit different. We're trying to shoot as accurately as possible out to the 100-yard and beyond range. And pellets, the thing is pellets, because of that drag coefficient, the self-righting drag that's induced by their shape, they shed velocity relatively quickly. So out at 100 yards, you've lost a lot of your velocity. And there's two main things that why that's bad is the longer it takes for a projectile to leave the barrel of a gun to hit target, the more time that gravity and wind take effect on the projectile. So a slug having a better ballistic coefficient means it sheds less velocity. It travels faster, further. So there's less drop due to gravity, and there's less drift due to wind. So that's the big deal about slugs, right? Now for me, some of this, it's the scientific aspect. It's being able to shoot at further distances and better predict your accuracy. A gun being able to shoot a tight group is called precision. Me being able to hold a gun in my hand and shoot a tight group where I want it to be is accuracy. So that's the goal, is to be able to take a gun, have a target, and consistently hit an area that I choose to. And that is, the precision of a firearm, the accuracy of a shooter, and the combination of your ballistics and your firearm and your human, and being able to do those well and predictable. So I'm going to move on to a few other things. I'll be right back.